Rubble, helmets and candles laid outside the Iranian embassy in Kyiv. These were protest props used by a group of Ukrainians on Monday night to demand that Iran stop selling drones to Russia. Coming after a so-called kamikaze drone hit a block of flats in Kyiv. The attack killed at least 4 people, including a woman who was 6 months pregnant. Ukraine said the attacks were carried out by Iran-made suicide drones, which fly to their target and detonate. The United States, Britain and France agreed that Iran supplying drones to Russia would violate a UN Security Council resolution that endorsed the 2015 nuclear deal between Iran and 6 powers. Iran's foreign minister continued to deny on Monday that it's supplying Russia with drones, while the Kremlin has not commented. But the U.S. has accused Iran of lying, with State Department spokesman Vedant Patel saying Russia was not only receiving drones from Iran, its operators were also being trained in Iran.
Russia deepening an alliance with Iran is something the whole world, especially those in the region and across the world, frankly, should be seen as a profound threat and something that any country should pay very close attention to.
Patel warned the U.S. may impose more sanctions, echoing calls by some EU foreign ministers to crack down on Iran over the issue. In his nightly video address on Monday, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky accused Russia of carrying out more drone attacks on his country. He also said he would make sure all captured Ukrainians are returned after Moscow and Kyiv carried out a large-scale prisoner swap, exchanging a total of 218 detainees, including 108 Ukrainian women. We do not forget about any of our people, Zelensky said. We have to return them all, and we will return them all.
Russia has attacked the Ukrainian capital Kyiv with a wave of what appears to be Iranian-made explosive drones. The strikes killed at least 4 people, including a pregnant woman and her husband. Iran denied supplying the drones to Russia. Azadeh Mashiri has more.
Kyiv under assault once again. Russia has acquired weapons that are having a devastating impact. On Monday, Ukrainians in the regions of Kyiv, Dnipro and Sumy saw firsthand what they can do. The barrage of attacks also hit critical infrastructure, like this sunflower oil terminal in Mykolaiv, causing storage tanks to go up in flames. The terminal is Ukraine's largest sunflower oil facility.
Right now, there is a new Russian drone attack. The world can and must stop this terror. When we talk about Ukraine's need for air and missile defense systems, we talk about real lives taken by terrorists.
This one apartment building was torn in half, with some surviving, but others killed in the onslaught of explosions. All this wreckage is because of these metal triangles, which form what appear to be Iranian-made kamikaze drones. And while Iran flatly denies it supplied them, the White House has warned Russia's deepening alliance with Iran is a profound threat to the entire world.
Iran continues to lie about this. They have not been truthful about this and deny providing weapons to Russia for use in Ukraine. Meanwhile, according to these new reports, Iran is considering selling still more destructive weapons to support an invasion they claim to oppose.
The EU is now gathering evidence and preparing to respond with punitive measures, with the United States, the United Kingdom and France warning Iran's actions violate UN sanctions. That means Iran could now face consequences for violence both abroad and at home. Azadeh Mashiri, BBC News.
Well, let's go live to the capital now and speak to our correspondent there, Hugo Bishega. Good morning, Hugo. So another day of destruction in the capital, more civilians killed. Talk us through the mood there this morning.
Good morning, Sally. So yes, more destruction, and I think now the fear is that these drones are going to be used by Russia to attack cities across the country. We saw yesterday a residential building was hit, 4 people were killed, including a pregnant woman. Her black and white picture has been widely shared on social media here, so she's become one of the faces of the tragedy here yesterday. And I think what we're hearing from the Ukrainians is that they're calling for sanctions to be imposed on Iran because of the delivery of these so-called kamikaze attack drones to the Russians. And I think we had a statement from the US State Department yesterday saying that Iran's supply of those drones to Russia violates UN sanctions that ban Iranian transfers of certain military technologies. The Ukrainians are saying that hundreds of these drones have been provided by Iran to Russia. We saw the destruction they can cause. And yesterday night, there were reports that more drones were flying here over the region of Kyiv. There were no reports of locations of targets being hit. But again, it shows how tense the situation is with the use by Russia of these drones and by those attacks that have been happening across the country.
Yeah, of course, Iran denying supplying the drones. So that conversation continues. But in terms of President Zelensky, again, he's using this as an opportunity to call for more arms and more supplies from allies in the West.
Yeah, and yesterday, reacting to the attacks here across the country, he said this terror must stop. And I think you're hearing Ukrainian officials calling for more sanctions to be imposed on Iran, but at the same time, they're using the attacks that happened yesterday, also the attacks of last week, to say that the country needs more air defense capabilities to protect cities across the country from the threat imposed by that comes from Russian missiles and also from those Iranian drones. And Russia has been attacking civilian sites and civilian infrastructure across the country, especially electricity infrastructure ahead of winter. And the Ukrainians are saying that this is part of the strategy to inflict pain on civilians, even in places like Kyiv, Lviv, cities away from the front line. So I think this is the message that has been coming out from Ukrainian officials. They want more help to protect cities from the threat that is coming from the sky.
Okay, again, thank you. Hugo Beshega in Kyiv for us.
The U.S. and NATO are beginning nuclear drills today and take place amid Russia conducting its own nuclear exercises. Our chief foreign correspondent, Ian Pannell, is also on the scene in Ukraine for us. Good morning, Ian.
Yeah, good morning, Robin. This is the latest salvo from Russia in their escalating aerial war against Ukraine. Over the last few days, we've seen increasing use of drones and missiles against various targets around the country. This as tensions between Russia and America continue.
This morning, as the Ukrainian capital's attacked again, NATO kicks off nuclear training exercises in Europe. The pre-planned drills taking place in Belgium, the North Sea and the United Kingdom, involving 14 countries with up to 60 aircraft, including US B-52 long-range bombers. Russia's holding its own nuclear drills this month, likely to also include live missiles like previous years. Vladimir Putin stoking nuclear fears recently over US and NATO support for Ukraine, calling a direct conflict a very dangerous move which could lead to a global catastrophe. Now the Kremlin sending almost 9,000 soldiers to Belarus to allegedly protect its strategic border it shares with Ukraine. Soldiers and equipment seen here arriving by train to join a Russian-Belarusian joint force, stoking fears of a potential new front in the war. But despite the outward shows of strength, Russia facing mounting internal issues with their military recruitment and morale. The Washington Post reporting men of fighting age are being taken from the streets and their places of work, coerced to join the fight, and Russia even forced to recruit from its own prisons. President Zelensky saying, this is how the Russian state is sponsoring terror. It's looking for killers in prisons and promises them freedom if they kill again. This as Russia admits 2 volunteer soldiers from an ex-Soviet nation attacked one of their own military bases over the weekend where new recruits were training, leaving 11 Russian soldiers dead, 15 wounded.
Well, Vladimir Putin clearly having problems domestically, but also here on the ground in Ukraine. Up until a few weeks ago, this town was occupied by Russia, but the Ukrainians are advancing The Russians are retreating, and that's why we're seeing Putin resorting increasingly to the use of drones and missile strikes against innocent civilian targets. TJ?
All right, Ian, thank you as always.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.
जी ऋतु, बिल्कुल ये आज़ादी का अमृत काल जो हम मना रहे हैं उसी के तहत जो एक बहुत अहम बैठक होती है सालाना, जो जनरल असेंबली की बैठक होती है इंटरपोल की, वो इस साल आप बता रहे थे कि दिल्ली में हो रही है। बिल्कुल, और इसमें 195 देशों के सदस्य हिस्सा लेते हैं। इस बार जब भारत में ये बैठक हो रही है तो तकरीबन 2000 डेलीगेट्स हम कह सकते हैं कि यहाँ पर आए हैं हिस्सा लेने के लिए। आमतौर पर इसमें जो पुलिस प्रमुख होते हैं इन देशों में वो इसमें हिस्सा लेते हैं। जो एजेंसियों के प्रमुख होते हैं वो इंटरपोल की इस तरह की बैठकों में हिस्सा लेते हैं। जैसे अगर हम अपने यहाँ की बात करें, भारत की बात करें, तो इसमें सीबीआई जो है वो एक नोडल एजेंसी है इंटरपोल की। तो इंटरपोल के साथ जो भी कम्युनिकेशन होता है भारत के सुरक्षा के संदर्भ में, वो सीबीआई के जरिए सूचनाएं आती और जाती हैं। तो बहुत अहम है दुनिया भर की सिक्योरिटी के लिए इंटरपोल के बीच इस तरह का समन्वय। और इस विशेष खासतौर से इसको इस बार भारत में आयोजित किया जा रहा है। इसके पीछे बात ये भी है कि 2019 में जब गृह मंत्री ने इंटरपोल के महासचिव से जो उनकी बातचीत हुई थी, उसमें उन्होंने न्यौता दिया था और उन्होंने कहा था कि जो आजादी का अमृत काल चल रहा है इस दौरान अगर भारत में इसका आयोजन किया जाए तो ये एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण आयोजन होगा। और इंटरपोल ने भारत के आग्रह को, भारत का जो प्रस्ताव था उसको स्वीकार करते हुए इस बार इसको भारत में आयोजित करने के लिए अपनी मंजूरी दी थी। और ये 18 से लेकर के 21 तारीख तक चलेगी। इसमें कई कार्यशालाएं होंगी, सूचनाओं का आदान प्रदान होगा। और अगर हम इंडियन एजेंसीज की बात करें तो दुनिया भर में ये माना जाता है कि साइबर क्राइम से निपटने में भारतीय एजेंसियों की खास भूमिका रही है। तो इसमें जो भी सदस्य देश हैं वो आपस में अपने अनुभवों को साझा करेंगे। भारत के पास एक साइबर एक्सपर्ट्स जो हैं वो इंटरपोल का एक महत्वपूर्ण हिस्सा हैं और वो रियल टाइम में सूचनाओं का आदान प्रदान करते हैं, इंटरपोल और भारतीय सुरक्षा एजेंसियां। प्रधानमंत्री आज इसका जो इनॉग्रल सेशन है उसको संबोधित करेंगे और भारत के नजरिए से अपनी बातें रखेंगे कि भारत की क्या भूमिका है अंतर्राष्ट्रीय वैश्विक सुरक्षा सुनिश्चित करने में। इससे पहले भी प्रधानमंत्री का इंट्रोडक्शन कराया जाएगा औपचारिक तौर पर जो प्रमुख सदस्य हैं, डेलीगेट्स हैं उनसे। और उसके बाद यहाँ पर एक कार्यक्रम भारतीय पुलिस के इतिहास और उसकी उपलब्धियां जो रही हैं उनको लेकर के एक एग्जीबिशन भी है, उसमें प्रधानमंत्री जाएंगे। ये कार्यक्रम है और इसमें जैसा हमने कहा कि क्योंकि बैठक भारत में हो रही है लेकिन इसमें मेजबानी भारत कर रहा है और प्रधानमंत्री की अगवानी के लिए जो इस वक्त अध्यक्ष हैं इंटरपोल के प्रेसिडेंट हैं वो पहुंचे और प्रधानमंत्री का संबोधन होगा। लेकिन उससे पहले कई और अन्य लोगों का भी संबोधन है जिसमें भारत की तरफ से सीबीआई डायरेक्टर अपनी बात रखेंगे इस इनॉग्रल सेशन में। तो बहुत अहम है और कुछ की एरियाज इसमें आइडेंटिफाई किए गए हैं, चिन्हित किए गए हैं जिनमें हम बात करें साइबर सिक्योरिटी है, ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग को रोकने के लिए क्या कदम उठाए जा सकते हैं।
और फाइनेंशियल प्रधानमंत्री इस महासभा का उद्घाटन कर रहे हैं। साथ ही जिस तरह से आपने बताया कि मौजूदा दौर की जो नई चुनौतियां खासकर संगठित अपराध के रूप में जो सामने आ रही हैं, कुछ नए आयाम दिखाई देते हैं, उन चुनौतियों को उनको देखते हुए और अगर साइबर अपराधियों की हम बात करें तो वो एक ऐसा क्षेत्र है जिसमें भारत को अन्य देशों का सहयोग भी चाहिए। ऐसे में इंटरपोल महासभा का आज का आयोजन किस तरह से आपको लगता है न सिर्फ भारत के लिए एक मददगार साबित होगा बल्कि तमाम उन देशों के साथ संगठित तौर पर इन अपराधों से कैसे निपटा जाए? जी
ऋतु, बिल्कुल जो जिन मुख्य क्षेत्रों की हम लोग बात कर रहे थे कि जिन पर कार्यशाला आयोजित होनी है और जिनमें एक दूसरे के पास जो भी अनुभव है उनको साझा किया जाना है, उनमें साइबर क्राइम, फाइनेंशियल जो ट्रांजैक्शंस हैं खास तौर से जो जिनको हम कहते हैं प्रतिबंधित संगठन किस तरह से फाइनेंशियल ट्रांजैक्शन करते हैं। और आप अगर आतंकी गतिविधियों को, आतंकी घटनाओं को देखें, दुनिया की जो अहम घटनाएं हैं उनमें फाइनेंशियल ट्रांजैक्शन बहुत रखते हैं। रख पाए
विकास प्रधानमंत्री, इस समय उस प्रदर्शनी जो प्रदर्शनी तैयार की गई है आज उसका अवलोकन कर रहे हैं। हम चाहेंगे कि अगर आप कुछ उस पर कुछ जानकारी दे सकें कि इस प्रदर्शनी में क्या चीजें मुख्य रूप से तमाम देशों के सामने रखी गई हैं। क्या वो तकनीक रखी गई हैं जिसके जरिए इन अपराधों से निपटा जाए?
पहला एक प्रदर्शनी है जिसमें चीजें रखी गई।
प्रधानमंत्री, इस समय एक जो प्रदर्शनी का आयोजन किया गया है इंटरपोल महासभा के आज के आयोजन में, उसका अवलोकन कर रहे हैं। ये माना यह जा रहा है कि इस प्रदर्शनी के जरिए भी जिस तरह से तमाम वो नए अपराध और खासकर इंटरपोल जिन अपराधों से निपटने के लिए तैयार किया गया है, साइबर अपराधियों को, मादक पदार्थ के सौदागरों, बाल शोषण करने वालों पर अंकुश लगाने के लिए, इन तमाम अपराधों की देखरेख या फिर धरपकड़ करने के लिए इंटरपोल तमाम देशों के साथ एक सामंजस्य के साथ, एक सहयोग के साथ इन अपराधों के खिलाफ काम करता है। और इस प्रदर्शनी को ये माना जा रहा है कि किस तरह से नई टेक्नोलॉजी तकनीक के तहत इन अपराधों पर अंकुश नियंत्रण किया जाए, आपसी सहयोग को बढ़ाया जाए। जी विकास।
जी ऋतु, बिल्कुल। इसमें इंटरपोल की जो अलग अलग गतिविधियां हैं, बहुत सारी चीजों पर इंटरपोल नजर रखता है, जिनमें ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग एक बहुत बड़ा मसला है। इसको लेकर के इंटरपोल ने एक डेटाबेस भी तैयार किया है। उनके पास एक पूरा डेटाबेस है जिसमें जिनको हम कहते हैं डिसअपियर्ड, जो गायब हो गए लोग हैं, उनकी जानकारी है। जो ज्यादातर ये माना जाता है कि मानव तस्करी का शिकार हो जाते हैं। ये जो हम कहें समस्या, वो विकासशील देशों में और गरीब देशों में काफी ज्यादा देखने को मिलती है, जहां पर ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग एक बहुत बड़ी चुनौती है। इस ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग का हिस्सा ये भी है कि कुछ देशों में जो इस तरह की मानव तस्करी होती है, वो दो देशों के बीच होती है, यानी एक देशों से तस्करी करके ह्यूमन रिसोर्स को दूसरे देशों में ले जाया जाता है। ऐसे में इंटरपोल की भूमिका बहुत अहम हो जाती है यहाँ पर, क्योंकि सूचनाओं का आदान प्रदान इंटरपोल के जरिए ही एजेंसी करती हैं दो देशों की। तो इन सबको यहाँ पर दर्शाया गया है कि इंटरपोल किन किन फील्ड्स में, किन किन क्षेत्रों में काम कर रहा है, इस तरह की चुनौतियों से निपट रहा है। और भारतीय पुलिस को लेकर के भी एक प्रदर्शनी है यहाँ पर कि भारतीय पुलिस ने की जो उपलब्धियां रही हैं, जो स्वर्णिम इतिहास है भारतीय पुलिस संगठनों का, उसको लेकर के भी एक प्रदर्शनी यहाँ पर लगाई गई है, जिसको प्रधानमंत्री को देखना है। तो ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण मानी जा रही है इस नजरिए से कि आने वाले दिनों में जिस तरह से चुनौती बढ़ेगी साइबर सिक्योरिटी को लेकर के, उसको देखते हुए देशों को आपस में समन्वय बढ़ाना होगा। और जो भी सूचनाएं देशों के पास, जो अलग अलग देशों के पास उपलब्ध हैं, उनको एक दूसरे से साझा करना होगा, तभी इस तरह के अपराधों पर नियंत्रण पाया जा सकता है।
जी विकास, ये मौका भारत के लिए भी होगा विश्व को बताने के लिए कि इन तमाम जो क्षेत्र हैं, खासकर जिसको इंटरपोल जिन क्षेत्रों में इंटरपोल की गतिविधियां हैं, चाहे वो ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग हो, मादक पदार्थों की तस्करी हो, सौदागर हो, उनको उनकी धरपकड़ हो, या फिर साइबर अपराध हो, इस दिशा में भारत किस तरह से आगे बढ़ रहा है? क्या भारत के वो सुधार रहे हैं अभी तक?
देखिए, भारत में सबसे ज्यादा इस बात पर जोर दिया जा रहा है पुलिसिंग को लेकर के कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा जो आधुनिक हम कहते हैं तकनीक उपलब्ध है, उसकी तरफ बढ़ा जाए। यानी कि टेक्नोलॉजी के जरिए अपराधों पर नियंत्रण रखना, किस तरह के अपराधों की प्रवृत्ति बढ़ रही है, इसको लेकर के एक रिपोर्ट भी जारी होनी है ऋतु की दुनिया भर में एक ग्लोबल ट्रेंड क्या है, किस तरह के क्राइम ज्यादा बढ़ रहे हैं। भारत के पास अपने पास एक IT का बहुत मजबूत इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है, जानकार लोग हैं, विशेषज्ञ हैं एजेंसीज के पास। तो जो ये डेटाबेस है, उसके जरिए कई बार ऐसा होता है एजेंसियां एक संभावित अपराध को भी पहले से प्रेडिक्ट कर सकती हैं, जिस तरह से ग्लोबल ट्रेंड है, चाहे वो फाइनेंशियल फ्रॉड्स हो, चाहे वो वित्तीय अपराध हो या आतंकी घटनाएं हो। तो ये जो डेटाबेस है, जो ग्लोबल ट्रेंड्स हैं, इनके आधार पर और इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी के आधार पर आप एक असेसमेंट कर सकते हैं। आप यहाँ तक कि पूर्वानुमान भी लगा सकते हैं कि कुछ खास संगठन किस तरह से अपराध को अंजाम देते हैं और उन्हें रोकने के लिए क्या स्ट्रेटेजी, किस तरह की रणनीति जो जांच एजेंसियां हैं उनको अपनानी चाहिए। CBI की हम बात करें, CBI एक बहुत अहम हिस्सा है इंटरपोल की जो भी गतिविधियां हैं उसको लेकर के। और ये जो इस जो जनरल मीट की हम बात करें, तो ये जब जनरल मीट पूरी होगी तो एक प्रस्ताव पारित भी किया जाएगा, रेजोल्यूशन पास किया जाएगा, जिसमें ये तय किया जाएगा कि इंटरपोल के लिए अगले जो आने वाला समय है उसमें क्या स्ट्रेटेजी देशों को अपनानी चाहिए। और ये इसलिए भी खास है ऋतु की इंटरपोल अपना 100वां साल पूरा करेगा अगले साल 2023 में। लगभग 99 साल हो गए हैं और अगले साल इंटरपोल को 100 साल हो जाएंगे। भारत एक बहुत अहम हिस्सा रहा है शुरुआती दौर से और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय अपराध को डिटेक्ट करने, पकड़ने में, जरूरी सूचनाएं मुहैया कराने में भारत ने अब तक बहुत अहम भूमिका निभाई है। और इस सत्र के बाद एक और ये बात स्थापित होगी कि इस तरह के बड़े आयोजन, जो आप कितना बड़ा ये आयोजन है इसको आप ऐसे समझिए, 195 देशों के प्रतिनिधि हैं जिसमें 2000 डेलीगेट्स हैं, काफी हाई प्रोफाइल मिनिस्टर्स भी हैं कुछ देशों के, और हम बात कर रहे थे जो पुलिस चीफ्स हैं अलग अलग देशों की, जो इस तरह की एजेंसीज होती हैं, सीबीआई की तरह समकक्ष एजेंसी हैं, उनके प्रमुख भारत पहुंचे हैं। बड़ा आयोजन है, सफलतापूर्वक आयोजित कर भारत एक ये भी संदेश देगा कि दुनिया के किसी भी देश से हम पीछे नहीं हैं, हम कितना भी महत्वपूर्ण किसी भी तरह का आयोजन कराने में सक्षम हैं। इसमें सीबीआई की बहुत महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका है, क्योंकि एक हम कहें कि जो नोडल एजेंसी है, तो जो भी डेलीगेट्स आए हैं उनको, उनकी सुरक्षा का इंतजाम, उनके कार्यक्रम को फाइनल करना, इन सब में सीबीआई की भी एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका है। और अब जब ये सत्र शुरू होगा, आज इनॉग्रल सेशन है, और इसके बाद जब 21 को समापन होगा, इस बीच में कई वर्कशॉप्स आयोजित की जाएंगी, कई तरह की प्रेजेंटेशंस भी रखेंगे अलग अलग देश की, उनके हिसाब से इंटरपोल को किन किन नए परिवर्तनों की तरफ बढ़ना चाहिए और कैसे ऐसे कुछ, क्या कोई लूप होल्स हैं, क्या कोई इस तरह के गैप्स हैं कम्युनिकेशन को लेकर के अंतर्राष्ट्रीय एजेंसियों के बीच, जिनको भरने की जरूरत है। तो इन सब चीजों पर भी चर्चा होगी और अलग अलग प्रेजेंटेशंस यहाँ पर रखी जाएंगी।
जी विकास, जिस तरह से आपने कहा कि कई वर्कशॉप्स भी हैं और कई प्रेजेंटेशन सामने आएंगी इस दौरान, इस पूरे सम्मेलन के दौरान, एक जो चर्चा का विषय ये भी है कि क्या इंटरपोल का जो गतिविधियां हैं और जो तमाम वो मामले हैं जिन पर निगरानी और जिन पर एक सहयोग होता है तमाम देशों के साथ, क्या उसमें किसी तरह का कोई बदलाव हो सकता है? मसलन आतंकवाद एक वैश्विक चुनौती है, हम जानते हैं राज्य प्रायोजित आतंकवाद जैसी किसी भी गतिविधि को रोकने में अंतर्राष्ट्रीय पुलिस संगठन यानी कि इंटरपोल की भूमिका नहीं है। क्या उसे किसी तरह से शामिल किया जा सकता है? क्योंकि ये माना जाता है कि साइबर अपराध और तमाम अपराध कहीं ना कहीं आतंकवाद से भी जुड़े हुए हैं।
An august moment with the Indian Tiranga and the Interpol flag side by side on the dais in the presence of the Honorable Prime Minister of India. Thank you. We now present to you a welcome video from the host nation, India, showcasing a microcosm of our country in all its color and glory.
Welcome to India.
May I now invite Major General Ahmad Nasser Al-Raisi, President of Interpol, to welcome the Honorable Prime Minister. May I also request Mr. Jürgen Stock, Secretary General Interpol, to welcome the Honorable Home Minister. It is now my privilege to invite the Director, Central Bureau of Investigation and Head of the National Central Bureau, Shri Subodh Kumar Jaiswal, to deliver his welcome remarks.
Shri Narendra Modi ji, Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Amit Shah ji, Honorable Union Home and Cooperation Minister, Shri Ahmad Nasser Al-Raisi, President of Interpol, Mr. Jürgen Stock, Secretary General Interpol, distinguished international delegates, Honorable Ministers of the Government of India, Director Generals of Police Forces across the country, distinguished guests, members of the print and electronic media, ladies and gentlemen, Namaskar, good afternoon, bonjour, hola, assalamu alaikum. It is truly a pleasure for me to extend a very warm welcome to all of you today. On behalf of Interpol, CBI, on my own behalf, I consider it a rare honor to extend a warm welcome to our esteemed Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, who has graciously consented to inaugurate this General Assembly. Sir, your strong belief in the close linkage between societal development, security, and law enforcement have given shape to result-oriented policies and governance. Your presence today here is a symbol of the Government of India's unwavering commitment towards promoting international cooperation efforts in ensuring global security. Sir, your singular effort in ensuring tangible outcomes out of the annual Conference of Directors General of Police Forces in India has become a game changer in the policing efforts within the country, wherein both uniform and diverse police initiatives across the country have been encouraged to deliver. We all look forward with enthusiasm to an enlightening address from you, which will be a clarion call for policemen across the world present here to raise the bar of performance and deliver. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Honorable Union Home and Cooperation Minister Shri Amit Shah ji, whose singular efforts have seen a tangible and robust paradigm shift in security and law enforcement response in this country. Sir, I thank you for having graced us with your august presence. We have amidst us Shri Ahmad Nasser Al-Raisi, Inspector General of the Ministry of Interior, United Arab Emirates, and also now President of Interpol. This will be the first General Assembly which will be held under his presidency, and it is hoped that new milestones in operationalizing Interpol initiatives will be set forth at this conclave of police professionals. Present amidst us is also Mr. Jürgen Stock, a police professional from Germany, who is the present Secretary General of Interpol. Mr. Stock has provided the organization dedicated leadership during his tenure, which has seen unprecedented growth in operational activities at Interpol. I am encouraged by the presence of delegates from the police fraternity from member countries and observer organizations. We look forward to hearing from you and sharing your ideations and experiences in your own country, which will help us in formulating responses to a safer and better world. Your gracious presence here underscores the uniqueness of Interpol. We policemen are the sentinels of justice, and in these times of extraordinary changes in the threat environment, justice for the victim of crime has to become the cornerstone of all police response worldwide. All criminal activities affect the common man globally, and it needs to be reiterated that we policemen in our own systems have sworn to protect the common man. Ladies and gentlemen, many are the challenges which need to be addressed. There is an urgent need to develop a robust, informal response where the network of police chiefs can engage rapidly and cut short legal red tape. Friends, looking at you today, I am indeed reminded of what Louis Armstrong famously sang, and I quote, "I say to myself, what a wonderful world." Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. It gives me great pleasure to invite Major General Ahmad Nasser al-Raisi, President of Interpol, to deliver his opening address.
Namaste, good afternoon, bonjour, buenos dias, مساء الخير. Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to be here at the 90th Interpol General Assembly in New Delhi. First, I would like to thank the Indian government for their warm welcome and superb organization of this event. Aap sabhi ko dhanyavad. Just last year, I had the privilege of being elected president by you all at the 89th General Assembly in Istanbul. I take this honor seriously. I want to take this opportunity to repeat the commitment I made to you on that day to drive forward modern Interpol, to enhance transparency, to support collaboration between member countries. Since we last see each other in Istanbul, has taken the Interpol significant step forward. We have introduced activities to deliver the future of policing. We have executed sustainable budget, and we have grown joint capability building programs with regional police organizations. Our partnerships with organizations such as the UN, the WHO, WCO, and the private sector are stronger than ever, and we have implemented Code of Conduct for the Executive Committee as adopted by the General Assembly last year. You will hear more about this in the coming days. This progress has been only possible because of the work of the members across the globe, and also because of the efforts of all the Interpol governance bodies, the General Assembly, the Executive Committee, the Governance Working Group, the Commission for the Control of the Interpol File, the Advisory Group on Financial Matters, the Standing Committee on the Processing of Data, and the external auditors for supporting decision-making across the organization. Even with all the progress we made, we are still far from our goals, which is why we are here today in New Delhi. In Arabic, we have a saying, al-af'al ablagh min al-aqwal. In English, this might be translated as action speak louder than words. Next year, we'll be celebrating our centenary. Let us take action and ensure that we will celebrate another 100 years. Cyber threats cross-border conflicts, global warming. Imagine a world without the Interpol. It would be impossible for countries to keep up with these challenges on their own. As the world's largest policing organization, it's the job of the Interpol to make sure that all countries are supported. No member country is too big, and no member country is too small. We must all be equally represented. Our contracted employees and seconded officers should be as diverse as our Interpol member country. Let us formalize it. Further, I pledge that we will always put safety and security first. Our organization must not be also politicized. Through a neutral and transparent Interpol, we will strengthen our unity and build trust. We are 195 members strong, representing nearly every country on the planet. Our officers and our NCPs are the reason for successful operations. How can we better support them? One key tactic: capacity building. Interpol is here to strengthen law enforcement in our member countries. Many of our existing capability building programs have potential that it's untapped. We must change this. Program like the Interpol Virtual Academy, making training more accessible. I am proud to say that more than 27,000 of these courses have been completed to date. Also, secondment, a vital opportunity for collaboration, are another way to drive knowledge building in our organization. Interpol depends on the support of the secondment from your agencies. But right now, we are not keeping up with the demand. We need to balance this with your help. Another opportunity for us to improve our 19 Interpol databases. Without your use of the databases and also your contribution, we are missing an opportunity. One example only: 68 countries have contributed to the International Child Sexual Exploitation Database. We can and we will do better. I know that also the digital and modern Interpol is important to all of you in this room. Let us set this as the priority and the top priority. The safety of every community in our member countries depends on it. On my recent visit to our colleagues in Singapore, I saw the progress they have made at the Interpol Global Complex for Innovation, creating new ways to fight crimes and driving innovation. IGCI sets an example for us all. And with digitization, advances such as the secure cloud and the Interpol's mobile device portable tool to instant access to our databases, we are steadily improving access the service on the front line anytime and anywhere and from any device without any disruption. I call on you to help to build a modern Interpol, share the challenges you see and the opportunities. And last but not least, I'd like to recognize the continued value of international cooperation. Cooperation with our NCPs, cooperation with the national institutions, cooperation with the international organization. We have nearly 70 international agreements. 15 of these are with the United Nations and its agencies. Partnerships and information sharing help us to better tackle and prevent crimes. And again, Interpol databases are the foundation that support our work. Every country's contribution is vital, and the databases will help to better inform policing efforts. We are stronger together. All in all, we must remember, the criminals always try to outsmart us, but they are no match for 195 countries, a strong organization as the far-reaching tool for police across the globe. Our action will speak louder than our words. Over the past few months, Interpol has undertaken a wide range of successful global police operations. Last June, Operation Lionfish 5 saw 1,333 suspected arrests across 22 countries, with 300 tons of Beckershed chemicals and 35.5 tons of narcotics seized. The same month, $11 million US dollars worth of fake medicine were seized across 94 countries during Operation Bangia. We are indeed showing the world our might. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the future of Interpol is decided in this room, and by proxy, the future of law enforcement. The voice of every single member will be heard. I look forward to our discussions, and with the work of all of our governance bodies, we will take the resolution made here and put them into action. To close, I want to thank you for your attendance. Also, I want to thank my fellow executive committee members. I am proud of the efforts we have made together. And also, I want to recognize the high number of executive committee nominations received. It shows a strong commitment to diversity. These next few days set the tone for the next year of action. Let us continue to build a safer world together. Dhanyavad, thank you, merci, and gracias. Shukran.
Thank you, Mr. President. On this historic occasion of the 90th General Assembly, and in recognition of the seminal contribution of Interpol, the Department of Posts of the Government of India is releasing a commemorative postage stamp. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to kindly release the commemorative stamp. Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister, sir. In addition to the release of the postage stamp, the Government of India is commemorating the glorious journey of Interpol with the issuance of a commemorative coin of ₹100 denomination. The coin is made up of quaternary alloy with 50% silver. Thank you, sir. It is now my proud privilege to invite the Honorable Prime Minister to deliver his inaugural address. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi.
my colleague in the Union Cabinet, Sri Amit Shah, Interpol President, Sri Ahmed Nasser Al-Rais, Interpol Secretary General, Sri Jorgen Stock, Director of CBI, Sri S.K. Jaiswal, distinguished delegates and participants, I extend a warm welcome to everyone for the 98th Interpol General Assembly. It is great to have you here at a time that is significant for both India and the Interpol. India is celebrating 75 years of independence in 2022. It is a celebration of our people, culture, and achievements. It is a time for looking back at where we came from and also for looking ahead at where we want to go. The Interpol is also approaching a historic milestone. In 2023, Interpol will be celebrating 100 years of founding. This is a good time to rejoice and reflect, learn from setbacks, celebrate victories, and then look to the future with hope. Friends, the concept of Interpol finds a connect with various aspects of Indian philosophy. The motto of the Interpol is connecting police for a safer world. Many of you may have heard of the Vedas as one of the world's oldest scriptures. One of the verses in Vedas says, Ano bhadraha kratavo yantu vishwataha. It means, let noble thoughts come from all directions. This is a call for universal cooperation to make the world a better place. There is a unique global outlook in India's soul. This is why India is one of the top contributors in sending brave men and women the United Nations peacekeeping operations. Even before our own independence, we made sacrifices to make the world a better place. Thousands of Indians fought and died in the world wars. From climate targets to COVID vaccines, India has shown willingness to take the lead in any kind of crisis. And now, at a time when nations and societies are becoming inward-looking, India calls for more, not less, international cooperation. Global cooperation for local welfare is our call. Friends, the philosophy of law enforcement is best explained by Chanakya, the ancient Indian philosopher. Anvikshaki traivartanam योग क्षेम साधनो दंड तस्य नीति ही दंड नीति अलब्ध लाभार्था लब्ध परीक्षणी रक्षित विवर्धनी बुद्धस्य तीर्थेषु प्रतिपादनी च. It means the material and spiritual welfare of a society is through law enforcement. Law enforcement, according to Chanakya, helps in gaining what we do not have, protecting what we have, increasing what we have protected, and distributing it to the most deserving. This is an inclusive view of law enforcement. Police forces across the world are not just protecting people, but are furthering social welfare. They are also at the front line of society's response to any crisis. It was most visible during the COVID-19 pandemic. Across the world, police personnel put their own lives at risk to help people out. Many of them even made the ultimate sacrifice in service of the people. I pay my respect to them. Even if the world comes to halt, the responsibility of keeping it safe does not go away. The Interpol remained functional 24/7, even during the pandemic. Friends, India's diversity and scale are hard to imagine for those who have not experienced it. It is home to the highest mountain ranges, one of the driest deserts, some of the thickest forests, and many of the world's most densely populated cities. India packs the future of continents in just one country. For example, India's most populous state, Uttar Pradesh, has a population close to that of Brazil. Our capital, Delhi, has more people than the whole of Sweden. Friends, the Indian police at the federal and state levels cooperate to implement more than 900 national and around 10,000 state laws. Add to this the diversity of India's society. People from all the major religions of the world live here. There are hundreds of languages and dialects spoken. Massive festivals attract millions of devotees. For example, Kumbh Mela, the largest and longest spiritual mass gathering in the world, had 240 million pilgrims. With all this, our police forces work with respecting the diversity and rights of the people promised by the Constitution. They not only protect the people, but also serve our democracy. Take the scale of India's free, fair and massive elections. Elections involve arrangements for around 900 million electorals. This is close to the population of North and South American continents taken together. About 2.3 million police personnel are deployed to help with these elections. In upholding diversity and democracy, India is a case study for the world. Friends, over the last 99 years, the Interpol has connected police organizations globally across 195 countries. This is despite differences in legal framework system and languages. In recognition of this, a commemorative stamp and a coin have been released today. Friends, despite all the past successes, today I want to remind the world about a few things. There are many harmful globalized threats that the world faces. Terrorism, corruption, drug trafficking, poaching, and organized crime. The pace of change of these dangers is faster than earlier. When threats are global, the response cannot be just local. It is time, and it is high time, that the world comes together to defeat these threats. Friends, India has been combating transnational terrorism for several decades, long before the world woke up to it. We knew the price of safety and security. Thousands of our people made the ultimate sacrifice in this fight. But it is no longer enough that terrorism is fought only in the physical space. It is now spreading its presence through online radicalization and cyber threats. At the click of a button, an attack can be executed, or systems can be brought to their knees. Each nation is working on strategies against them. But what we do within our borders in our longer enough, there is need to further develop international strategies. Establishment of early detection and warning systems, protecting transportation services, security for communication infrastructure, security for critical infrastructure, technical and technological assistance, intelligence agents. Many of the things need to be taken to a new level. Friends, some of you may be thinking why I spoke of corruption as a dangerous threat. Corruption and financial crimes have harmed the welfare of the citizens of many countries. The corrupt find a way to park the process of crime in different parts of the world. This money belongs to the citizens of the country from which they have been taken. Often, this has been taken from some of the poorest people in the world. Further, it is such money that is pushed into evil activities. This is one of the major sources of terror funding, from illegal drugs that destroy your life, to human trafficking, from weakening democracies, to the sale of illegal arms. This dirty money funds many destructive enterprises. Yes, there are diverse legal and procedural frameworks to deal with them. However, there is a need for the global community to work even faster to eliminate safe havens. There can be no safe havens for the corrupt terrorists, drug cartels, poaching gangs, or organized crime. Such crimes against people in one place are crimes against everyone, crimes against humanity. Further, this not only harm our present, but also impact our future generations. Police and law enforcement agencies need to devise procedures and protocols to increase cooperation. Interpol can help by speeding up of red corner notices for fugitive offenders. Friends, a safe and secure world is our shared responsibility. When the forces of good cooperate, the forces of crime cannot operate. Friends, before I conclude, I have an appeal to all the guests. Do consider visiting the National Police Memorial and National War Memorial in New Delhi. You can pay respect to the heroes who laid down their lives to keep India safe. These were men and women, just like many of you, ready to do anything for the nation. Friends, let communication, collaboration and cooperation defeat crime, corruption and terrorism. I hope the 19th International General Assembly proves to be an effective and successful platform for this. Once again, I welcome you all to this important program. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister, sir. I now invite Major General Ahmad Nasser Al-Raisi, President of Interpol, to present a token of appreciation on behalf of Interpol to the Honorable Prime Minister.
We today have to work with our neighbors, Sri Lanka. Abhi Sri Lanka is going through a very difficult situation. One country which is helping Sri Lanka without any strings is India. We are the neighbors of China. हम China के पड़ोस में हैं. It is not possible that we are not deeply and directly impacted by the rise of such a major power. It will happen. Now, we cannot take the view that they will adjust to us. They will rise. We have to. It's competitive. Politics is competitive. World politics is even more competitive. We have to find ways today. How do we compete with other countries? How do we protect our interests? We are today trying to see how can we achieve greater strength. We cannot. Sometimes I read that India is a great services power. Yes, services is very good, but you cannot have only services. A country which doesn't have manufacturing is a country which doesn't have bones in the body. You cannot manufacture everything, but we do not want, which one of us wants a situation that we are the market for other factories and other manufacturing? I mean, you are from in a state which has a very strong history of industrial production and manufacturing. Do we want to see that everything which we in our daily lives is imported from China, which we can make ourselves? Nobody wants that. So we today have to work with our neighbors, and that is why the first step which Narendra Modi took in foreign policy was to call all our neighbors. At the शपथ ग्रहण में जो किया था उन्होंने 2014 में. And since then, you will see whether it was COVID, whether it was Nepal earthquake, whether Sri Lanka. Abhi Sri Lanka is going through a very difficult situation. One country which is helping Sri Lanka without any strings is India. So I can tell you, our neighbors are comfortable with us. We all share so much, culture, language, religion. All of us play cricket. It's a very big commonality. But we also must understand neighbors will look to see where they can get advantage. If they feel there is some other country which will do something, they will of course try.
It's an honor to say that BrahMos made the first export deal with Philippines of $375 million. Honorable PM has given the target of $5 billion by 2025 to the country. I hope that BrahMos themselves will be able to reach $5 billion by 2025. It's an honor to say that BrahMos made the first export deal with Philippines of $375 million. We are in the process of executing this contract. Which other orders are we going to get? Maybe the Philippines themselves. And there are a lot of other Southeast Asian countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, a lot of them looking at us. We're in discussions with them. Till the contract is signed, we won't be able to talk about it much. What would be the values? Well, Honorable PM has given the target of $5 billion by 2025 to the country. I hope that BrahMos themselves will be able to reach $5 billion by 2025. That's what I hope. But if we fall short, we'll get all the other companies to help us out in that.
And sir, BrahMos has been working on manufacturing the next generation BrahMos in Lucknow, in the UP Defence Corridor. What is the status of that program, sir? And by when can we see the BrahMos NG in action, trials and development?
Yeah. NG is the next generation BrahMos, which is half the weight of the current BrahMos. It's on the drawing board. We are doing the design review right now. By the time we get down to cutting metal, it will take maybe about a year. Flight trials in a year and a half to 2 years. And production, we are aiming for doing it in Lucknow. The Lucknow facilities would be ready by 2024, in which we would start doing the current BrahMos parts of it. And later on, that would become a full-fledged production center of NG. We expect production of NG to start somewhere around 2025 end or 26. That is
what will be the capabilities of NG, sir?
Yeah, the NG, as I said, is a lighter missile than BrahMos, so we would be able to carry 2 on the sides of the regular BrahMos. So we would have 3 BrahMoses on one Su-30. We are targeting the LCA. We would be able to put 2 missiles on the LCA. We would be able to put 2 missiles on the MiG-29. So all our Indian Air Force-based aircraft can have the NGs. And we will look at the Western aircraft thereafter if the Air Force is interested or some of the foreign countries are interested. NG is our main hope for the future in terms of exports.
We are living like animals, just like fish in the water. Most of our houses have been fed and short, mostly mud houses. And if you get there, if you get to our communities, the water have gone above the zinc level.
So I'm late, folks. Thank you very much for being here. Less than 8 weeks ago, I announced my administration's plan to forgive up to $10,000 in federal student loan debt and up to $20,000 if you received a Pell Grant for folks earning less than $125,000 a year. Today, I'm announcing how millions of people, working and middle-class folks, can apply for get this relief, and it's simple and it's now. It's easy, it's fast. At the end of my remarks, I'm going to officially launch this new application site at studentaid.gov, studentaid.gov. You'll be able to fill out your name, social security number, date of birth, and contact information. No forms to upload. This is a game changer for millions of Americans. And the Secretary insisted that that had to be tested over the weekend. It landed and handled more than 8 million applications without a glitch or any difficulty. We had over 10,000 people contact the White House to either send us letters or calls thanking us. It means more than 8 million Americans are starting this week on their way to receiving a life-changing relief that they're looking for. My commitment was, if elected president, I was going to make government work to deliver for the people. This rollout keeps that commitment. In total, more than 40 million Americans can stand to benefit from this relief. And about 90% of that relief is going to go to people making less than $75,000 a year. Let me be clear. Not a dime will go to those in the top 5% of the income bracket, period. I will never apologize for helping working Americans and middle-class people as they recover from the pandemic.
加快建设高质量教育体系，攻坚战。解决台湾问题是中国人自己的事，要由中国人来决定。我们坚持以最大诚意，尽最大努力，争取和平统一的前景，但绝不承诺放弃使用武力，保留采取一切必要措施的选项。
Вот мы ждем разрешения прихотнить этого.
Ну, обстановка напряжлива такая, но мы стараемся ближе к победе. Чем больше мы вложим труда и как-то поможем нашим ЗСУ, тем будет как-то им легче и нам проще. Ну, каждый день вот эти обстрелы очень как-то, но на работу не сказывается, потому что есть цель, и идешь к этой цели. Люди на работе, мы выполняем свои обязанности. Но снаряды прилетают и в поле, и в сад, и везде они у нас есть. Хотелось бы миру, конечно. Ой, Наташа. Юля, бери. Бери банан. Твою. Принеси ківіси. Ківіси принеси, тому що ці вже сідають, вже треба заряджати.
Before I reach that place, come back. I'm going to go tell you. We are living like animals, just like fish in the water. Most of our houses have been fell down in short, mostly mud houses. And if you get there, if you get to our communities, the water have gone above the zinc level.
Sales at Roche dropped 6% over the latest quarter. That's due to a slump in COVID-19 treatments and diagnostic testing, which has outweighed gains from haemophilia treatments, cancer immunotherapy, and multiple sclerosis drugs. Despite sales gains in these areas, Roche did worse than forecast. Overall, third quarter revenue slipped to about $14.8 billion. That was below market expectations of about $15.6 billion. Roche reaffirmed its guidance for full-year revenue to be flat, or at best, grow by a low single-digit percentage. Demand in China is recovering, however, as people start seeing their doctors again as lockdowns ease. But Roche says the numbers are not yet back to pre-health crisis levels. Shares in the firm dropped around 1.5% on Tuesday morning following the results.